The sleek silver shuttle glided through Earth's atmosphere, its hull shimmering as it descended towards the sprawling campus of Interstellar University. Inside, Zarina clutched her travel bag, her three hearts racing with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The vibrant blue and green of Earth's surface grew larger in the view screen, so different from the muted purples and grays of her home planet, Zeta 9. As the shuttle touched down on the landing pad, Zorina took a deep breath, her pale lavender skin flushing a deeper shade of purple. She had prepared for this moment for years, studying Earth's languages and customs. Now, as the first exchange student from Zeta 9, she carried the weight of her entire world's expectations. The shuttle doors hissed open, and Zorina stepped out into the warm sunlight. The gravity felt strange, lighter than she was used to, and she stumbled slightly. A group of humans waited nearby, their faces a mix of curiosity and welcome. "Welcome to Earth, Zorina." A tall woman with graying hair stepped forward, extending her hand. "I'm Dean Hawthorne. We're thrilled to have you join us at Interstellar University." Zorina grasped the dean's hand, careful not to apply too much pressure with her superior Zetan strength. "Thank you, Dean Hawthorne. I'm honored to be here." As they walked toward the dormitories, Zorina's eyes darted from one new sight to another. The vibrant colors of the flowers lining the path, the chatter of unfamiliar birds, the laughter of human students lounging on the grass. It was overwhelming and exhilarating. "Your roommate, Emily, is eager to meet you," Dean Hawthorne said as they approached a tall brick building. "She's one of our top students and volunteered to be your guide during your stay." Zorina nodded, her antenna twitching nervously. "I hope I don't disappoint her," the dean chuckled. "Just be yourself, Zorina. That's why you're here, for cultural exchange." They stopped outside a door on the third floor. Dean Hawthorne knocked, and moments later the door flew open. A young woman with wild red curls and a smattering of freckles across her nose beamed at them. "You must be Zorina," she exclaimed, her green eyes wide with excitement. "I'm Emily. Come in, come in." Zorina stepped into the room, taking in the colorful posters on the walls and the cluttered desk on one side. Her own side of the room was bare, waiting to be filled with her belongings. "I'll leave you two to get acquainted," Dean Hawthorne said. "Remember, Zorina, my door's always open if you need anything." As the door closed behind the dean, Emily bounced on her toes. "This is so cool. I have so many questions. What's Zeta 9 like? Is it true you have three hearts? Oh, and can you really change colors based on your mood?" Zorina blinked, overwhelmed by the barrage of questions. Yes, we have three hearts, and our skin does change slightly with our emotions, though not as drastically as some believe." Emily's face fell slightly. "Oh, I'm sorry. Am I being too forward? My mom always says I come on too strong." "No, it's fine," Zorina reassured her, setting her bag down on the bed. "I'm just adjusting. Everything is so different here." Emily nodded sympathetically. "I can't even imagine. Hey, there's a welcome party tonight for all the new students. Want to go together? It'll be a great way to meet people." Zorina hesitated. She had been warned about Earth parties and the potential dangers they pose to interplanetary relations. But Emily's eager face made it hard to refuse. "All right," she agreed, "but I must be careful. There are strict rules about interplanetary interactions." "Don't worry," Emily said, waving a hand dismissively. "It's just a casual party. What could go wrong?" Hours later, Zorina found herself in the midst of a crowded common room, pulsing with unfamiliar music and filled with the chatter of dozens of students. She tugged at the hem of the Earth-style dress Emily had lent her, feeling exposed without her usual protective exosuit. "Isn't this great?" Emily shouted over the music, grinning widely. "Oh, look, there's Alex. He's in my quantum physics class. You've got to meet him." Before Zorina could protest, Emily was dragging her across the room towards a tall, dark-haired human male. He turned as they approached, and Zorina felt her heart skip a beat. His eyes were a striking shade of blue, like the Earth sky she had admired earlier. "Alex, this is my new roommate, Zorina," Emily said. "She's from Zeta 9. Alex's eyebrows shot up. "Wow, that's incredible. I've read so much about Zeta 9's advancements in quantum entanglement. Is it true your scientists have achieved stable, multidimensional communication?" Zorina blinked, surprised by his knowledge. Yes, though it's still in the experimental stages. You're interested in quantum physics? Fascinated by it, Alex replied, his eyes lighting up. I'm hoping to work on interstellar communication systems after graduation. As they talked, Zarina found herself relaxing. Alex was easy to talk to, his questions thoughtful and his knowledge impressive. She barely noticed as Emily slipped away, leaving them engrossed in conversation. Hey, you two need a drink, a boisterous voice interrupted them. A red-faced student thrust 2 cups into their hands. Try this. It's the best thing on earth. Serena looked down at the dark, fizzy liquid in her cup. She had been warned about Earth alcohol, but this didn't look like the beverages she had been shown in her pre-departure briefings. It's just cola, Alex said, noticing her hesitation. Carbonated sugar water, basically. Totally harmless. Harmless. The word echoed in Zarina's mind. Surely one little Earth drink couldn't hurt, and it would be rude to refuse. She raised the cup to her lips and took a long swig. The sweetness exploded on her tongue, followed by an odd tingling sensation. It wasn't unpleasant, just different. So what do you think? Alex asked, smiling at her. Zarina opened her mouth to respond, but instead of words, she felt a strange surge of energy in her mind. Suddenly, to her horror, she heard her own thoughts echoing in the air around her. His eyes are so beautiful, like the endless skies of Zeta 9's third moon. Alex's eyes widened in shock. Zarina clapped a hand over her mouth, but it did nothing to stop the flow of thoughts. Oh no, what's happening? This must be the cola. It's toxic to my system. I've broken the first rule of interplanetary exchange. Around her, conversation stopped as people turned to stare. Zarina felt her skin flushing a deep purple, her embarrassment and fear visible for all to see. I have to get out of here, she thought, and to her dismay, the words echoed audibly. If the Earth authorities find out, it could cause an interplanetary incident. Without another word, spoken or thought, Zorina turned and fled from the room. She could hear Alex calling after her, but she didn't stop. Her heart pounded as she ran through the unfamiliar hallways, her mind racing with panic. She had come to Earth to bridge the gap between their worlds, to pave the way for future exchanges. Instead, she had managed to jeopardize everything on her very first day. As she burst out of the building into the cool night air, Zarina realized with a sinking feeling that her adventure on Earth was off to a disastrous start. The sounds of the party faded behind her as Zorina ran across the campus, her borrowed dress fluttering in the night breeze. Her mind was a chaotic swirl of panicked thoughts, each one broadcasting loudly into the air around her. I've ruined everything. The dean will find out. I'll be sent home in disgrace, and Zeta 9 will never be allowed to send another student to Earth. She stumbled to a stop near a large fountain, its water sparkling in the moonlight. Zarina gripped the stone edge, trying to catch her breath and calm her racing hearts. But every attempt at a calming thought only resulted in more involuntary broadcasts. Zarina, wait up! She whirled around to see Alex jogging towards her, concern etched on his face. Zarina backed away, holding up her hands. Please don't come any closer, she said aloud, wincing as her thoughts echoed her words. I don't know what's happening to me. Alex slowed to a walk, his hands raised in a placating gesture. It's okay, Zarina. I want to help. What's going on? Zarina shook her head, frustration and fear warring within her. The cola, it must have reacted with my physiology. I can't control my thoughts. They're being broadcast telepathically. That's... wow, Alex said, his scientific curiosity momentarily overriding his concern. I've never heard of cola having that effect before. Of course you haven't, Zorina thought bitterly, the words echoing around them. Zetan biology is completely different from human. We were warned about consuming Earth substances, but I thought it would be harmless. Alex's expression softened. Hey, it's not your fault. You couldn't have known this would happen. But it is my fault. Zarina's thoughts rang out, tinged with despair. I knew the rules. No consuming Earth food or drink without clearance. And now I've put the entire exchange program at risk. We'll figure this out, Alex said, taking a cautious step closer. There has to be a way to counteract the effects. Zarina wanted to believe him, but her fears kept spilling out. What if it's permanent? What if I'm stuck like this forever, unable to keep a single thought private? I'll be a failure, a cautionary tale for future generations of Zetans. It won't be permanent, Alex said firmly. Look, I have an idea. My roommate is a biochemistry major. He might be able to help us understand what's happening and how to fix it. Hope flared in Zarina's chest, immediately broadcast for Alex to hear. You'd really help me, even though we just met? Alex smiled and Zarina felt her heart's flutter. Of course. That's what friends do, right? Friends, Zarina repeated, the word filling her with warmth. I've never had a human friend before. Well, now you do, Alex said. Come on, let's go find my roommate before... Before what? A stern voice interrupted. Zarina and Alex turned to see Dean Hawthorne approaching, her expression grave. Zarina's panic surged anew, her thoughts broadcasting loudly. Oh no, it's the Dean. She knows. I'm going to be expelled. Dean Hawthorne's eyebrows shot up as she heard the unspoken words. Zarina, what's going on here? Zarina looked from the Dean to Alex, her heart's pounding. She had come to Earth seeking adventure and knowledge. But now, barely hours into her stay, she faced a crisis that threatened not just her future, but the future of interplanetary relations. As the Dean waited for an explanation, Zarina realized that her greatest challenge on Earth was just beginning. With her every thought an open book, she would have to navigate not just a new world, but a new way of existing, all while trying to salvage the exchange program and her budding friendships. The morning after the disastrous party, Zarina huddled in her dorm room, her antenna drooping with exhaustion and worry. She had managed to convince Dean Hawthorne that her outburst was merely a result of culture shock and overstimulation, but she knew it was only a temporary reprieve. Zarina, are you coming to breakfast? Emily's chipper voice called through the door. Zarina's heart raced. I'm not feeling well, she called back, wincing as her true thoughts broadcast themselves. I can't face anyone. What if I start projecting my thoughts again? What was that? Emily asked, confusion evident in her voice. Nothing, Zarina said quickly. I just need some rest. As Emily's footsteps faded away, Zarina slumped onto her bed. How long would this effect last? And how could she possibly attend classes like this? Despite her best efforts to isolate herself, Zarina found it impossible to avoid all contact. By midday, her growling stomach forced her to venture to the cafeteria. She crept in, keeping her head down and trying to focus on mundane thoughts. Just get food. Don't look at anyone. Don't think about anything interesting. She had almost made it to the food line when a familiar voice called out, Zarina, over here. Alex waved from a nearby table, his smile sending Zarina's hearts into a flutter. Oh no, he's even more attractive in daylight. Her thoughts betrayed her. Several nearby students turned to look, eyebrows raised. Zarina hurried over, her face flushing a deep purple. Alex, I can't... Relax, he said in a low voice. I told everyone you're practicing a Zen meditation technique that involves speaking your thoughts aloud. They think it's cool. Relief washed over Zarina, immediately followed by a wave of gratitude that, of course, broadcast itself. You're so clever and kind. I don't deserve a friend like you. Alex's cheeks reddened slightly. Don't mention it. Any luck with... Zarina shook her head. The effects haven't worn off. I don't know what to do about classes. We'll figure it out, Alex assured her, his hand briefly touching hers. The contact sent a jolt through Zarina, and she quickly pulled away, hoping her thoughts hadn't betrayed her growing attraction to him. As the days wore on, Zarina found herself in increasingly awkward situations. During a study session in the library, her admiration for Alex's intellect leaked out, causing nearby students to giggle. In the gym, her frustration with the lower Earth gravity led to her accidentally broadcasting detailed comparisons of Zeton and human musculature. Emily, oblivious to Zarina's predicament, continued to drag her to social events. At a poetry reading, Zarina's unfiltered critiques of Earth literature earned her dirty looks from the aspiring poets. At a movie night, her running commentary on the scientific inaccuracies in a popular sci-fi film both amused and annoyed her fellow viewers. But the real challenge came when Alex asked Zarina to partner with him on a quantum physics project. She knew she should refuse, but the prospect of working closely with him was too tempting to resist. They met in the physics lab late one evening, surrounded by humming equipment and glowing screens. As Alex explained his theories, Zarina found herself captivated not just by his ideas, but by his passion. Your hypothesis on multidimensional quantum entanglement is brilliant, she thought, the words echoing in the lab. And the way your eyes light up when you talk about physics is absolutely mesmerizing. Alex paused, a slight smile playing on his lips. Thanks. I think your insights are pretty amazing too. Zorina's hearts raced. She needed to change the subject, fast. So, how do you think we should approach the experimental design? As they worked, Zorina found it increasingly difficult to concentrate. Every time Alex leaned close to show her something on the computer screen, every accidental brush of their hands as they reached for tools sent her thoughts into a tailspin of attraction and anxiety. Focus on the project, she desperately thought to herself. Not on how good he smells, or how his hair falls across his forehead, or... Zorina? Alex's voice snapped her back to reality. Are you okay? You seem distracted. I'm fine, she said aloud, while her thoughts betrayed her. I'm hopelessly attracted to you and terrified of ruining our friendship and the entire exchange program. Alex's eyes widened, and Zorina realized with horror that she'd done it again. She backed away, knocking over a chair in her haste. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be here. This was a mistake. But before she could flee, Alex caught her hand. Wait, Zorina, please don't go. She turned, her antenna quivering with anticipation and fear. Alex took a deep breath. I feel the same way about you. I've been trying to hide it, but I can't anymore. Zorina's heart soared. You do? But what about the exchange program? The interplanetary laws? Alex pulled her closer. We'll figure it out, together. Their lips met in a soft, tentative kiss. As they pulled apart, Zorina couldn't help but broadcast her thoughts. That was even better than I imagined. Alex chuckled. I'm glad I lived up to your expectations. From that moment on, their relationship blossomed. They stole moments together between classes, shared secret smiles across crowded rooms, and spent long nights in the lab, discussing quantum theories and their dreams for the future. But their happiness was tempered by the constant fear of discovery. Zorina's telepathic broadcasting hadn't subsided, and she lived in constant fear of revealing their relationship or her condition to the wrong person. Then one morning, a campus-wide announcement chilled Zorina to her core. Dean Hawthorne's voice echoed through the dormitory speakers. Attention all students. In light of recent, unusual events, we will be conducting a thorough health and safety check of all international and interplanetary students. This is a routine procedure to ensure the well-being of our diverse student body. All non-Earth students are required to report to the medical center for evaluation within the next 48 hours. Zorina sat on her bed, her antenna quivering with fear. This is it, she thought, her words broadcasting softly in the empty room. They're going to find out, and I'll be sent home in disgrace. A knock on the door made her jump. It was Emily, looking concerned. Zorina, are you okay? You've been acting weird lately, and now this announcement. Is everything all right? Zorina opened her mouth to reassure her roommate, but what came out was the unvarnished truth, broadcast for all to hear. No, everything is not all right. I accidentally drank cola at the welcome party, and now I can't stop broadcasting my thoughts telepathically. I'm in love with Alex, but I'm going to fail the health check and ruin interplanetary relations, and I'll never see him again. And Emily's jaw dropped. Wait, what? You're telepathic now? And you and Alex? Oh my God, this is huge. To her surprise, Emily's face split into a wide grin. This is the most exciting thing that's happened all semester. Don't worry, we'll solve this. I've got an idea. As Emily dragged her out of the room, chattering excitedly about enlisting the help of her chemistry lab partner, Zorina felt a glimmer of hope. With friends like Emily and the love of Alex on her side, maybe she could find a way out of this mess after all. But as they hurried across campus, Zorina didn't notice Dean Hawthorne watching them from her office window, a determined look on her face. The race to save Zorina's future on Earth and her newfound love was on. Here's a revised version of Act 3 that maintains a more appropriate tone while still developing the story and relationships. The day of the health check loomed over Zorina like a dark cloud. With time running out, she and Emily raced across campus to the chemistry lab, their footsteps echoing in the empty corridors. "Are you sure this will work?" Zorina asked, her antenna twitching nervously. Emily's face was set with determination. "It has to. We've got the cola's chemical composition, and my lab partner's a genius with xenobiology. If anyone can whip up an antidote, it's us." They slipped into the lab, the door clicking shut behind them. Emily's partner, a lanky student named Raj, was already there, surrounded by bubbling beakers and whirring centrifuges. "Let's do this," Raj said, pushing his glasses up his nose. "But we've got to be quick. If we're caught..." The next few hours were a blur of calculations, mixing chemicals and tense whispers. Zorina watched in fascination as Emily and Raj worked, their hands moving with practiced precision. Just as they thought they were making progress, alarms began to blare. Red lights flashed, and a computerized voice announced, "Warning, unstable chemical reaction detected." "Oh no," Raj muttered, his eyes wide with panic. "The formula's destabilizing." Before they could react, a small explosion rocked the lab. Smoke filled the air, and the acrid smell of burning chemicals made Zorina's eyes water. As they stumbled towards the exit, coughing and disoriented, the door burst open. Alex stood there, his face a mask of concern. "Zorina, are you okay? I heard the explosion and..." His words were cut short as he took in the scene before him. Zorina's heart leapt at the sight of him, even as panic gripped her. "Alex, I can explain..." But before she could continue, another figure appeared behind Alex. Dean Hawthorne surveyed the chaos, her expression unreadable. "What is the meaning of this?" she demanded, her voice cutting through the smoke and sirens. Zorina looked at her friends, then back at the dean. In that moment, she knew what she had to do. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward. "It's my fault, Dean Hawthorne. I need to tell you something." Over the next few minutes, Zorina poured out the whole story, the cola incident, the telepathic broadcasting, her fears about the exchange program. As she spoke, she felt a weight lifting from her shoulders. To her surprise, Dean Hawthorne's stern expression slowly softened. When Zorina finished, the dean was silent for a long moment. "Zorina," she finally said, "I must say I'm impressed by your honesty and your dedication to solving this problem, misguided as it may have been, shows a commitment to your studies and to interplanetary relations that is admirable." Zorina blinked in surprise. "You're not angry?" Dean Hawthorne chuckled. "Oh, I'm not thrilled about the explosion, but I think we have an opportunity here. Your experience could be invaluable in improving our safety protocols for interplanetary students." Over the next few weeks, Zorina worked closely with the university administration to develop new guidelines for off-world students. Her telepathic abilities, while gradually fading, provided unique insights into the challenges of cross-cultural communication. When it came to her relationship with Alex, it only grew stronger. They spent long evenings discussing the future, both of interplanetary relations and their own. Their conversations often veered into personal territory, where they explored their hopes, fears, and dreams, laying bare their hearts to each other. The bond between Alex and Zorina was not just intellectual, it was deeply emotional and physical. The attraction they felt for each other transcended their species differences. Zorina's luminous, azure skin and delicate ethereal features fascinated Alex, while Zorina found Alex's rugged handsomeness and intense gaze utterly captivating. Their first intimate night together was a culmination of weeks of growing affection and unspoken desire. The moment they had been tiptoeing around had finally arrived, and they embraced it with a mix of eagerness and tenderness. In the dim light of Alex's room, they stood facing each other, the air filled with anticipation. Alex gently cupped Zorina's face, caressing her cheek with his thumb. She closed her eyes, leaning into his touch, her breath caught in her throat. The moment was electric, filled with the promise of what was to come. Their kiss was tentative, exploratory. Zorina's lips were soft and warm, and Alex savored the alien yet familiar sensation. As their kisses deepened, so did their hunger for each other. Alex's hands roamed over Zorina's body, marveling at the silky smoothness of her skin and the faint bioluminescent patterns that seemed to pulse with her heartbeat. Zorina responded in kind, her fingers tracing the contours of Alex's muscles, exploring the differences and similarities with curiosity and desire. She was fascinated by the strength in his body, the way his muscles tensed under her touch, and the warmth radiating from his skin. As they moved to the bed, their passion intensified. Clothes were shed in a flurry of movement, revealing the beauty of their respective forms. Zarina's lithe, slender frame contrasted with Alex's more muscular build, but they fit together perfectly, like two pieces of a puzzle. Their lovemaking was an exquisite dance of discovery and pleasure. Alex took his time, ensuring Zarina was comfortable and enjoying every moment. He kissed and caressed her with a reverence that made her feel cherished and adored. Zarina, in turn, responded with an intensity that took Alex's breath away. Her touch was both gentle and fervent, guiding him to places that elicited the most exquisite sensations. Their lovemaking was an exquisite dance of discovery and pleasure. Alex took his time, ensuring Zarina was comfortable and enjoying every moment. He kissed and caressed her with a reverence that made her feel cherished and adored. Zarina, in turn, responded with an intensity that took Alex's breath away. Her touch was both gentle and fervent, guiding him to places that elicited the most exquisite sensations. They explored each other's bodies with a mix of tenderness and urgency, learning what brought the other the most pleasure. Alex reveled in the sounds Zarina made, soft gasps and moans that only fueled his desire. Zarina, too, was enraptured by Alex's responses, his groans and whispered words of love driving her to new heights of ecstasy. Their first night together was not just about physical pleasure. It was a profound connection that deepened their bond. They moved together in perfect harmony, their bodies communicating in ways words never could. The barriers between their species seemed to dissolve, leaving only the pure, unadulterated essence of their love and passion. In the aftermath, they lay entwined, basking in the glow of their shared experience. Zarina rested her head on Alex's chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart, feeling completely at peace. Alex held her close, his fingers gently stroking her hair, content in the knowledge that they had crossed a threshold together. Their first intimate night was a beautiful symphony of pleasure and discovery, a testament to their love and the strength of their connection. It was a night they would both cherish forever, a foundation upon which they would build their future together, united in body and soul, despite the vast differences that once seemed so insurmountable. On the night before graduation, Alex took Zarina for a walk under the starry sky. As they stood gazing up at the distant pinprick of light that was Zeta 9, he turned to her. "Zarina," he said, his voice soft but sure, "these past months have been the most incredible of my life. I know we come from different worlds, but I can't imagine my future without you in it." He dropped to one knee, pulling out a small box. "Will you marry me?" Zarina's heart soared. "Yes," she breathed, her joy broadcasting to the empty campus around them. 1,000 times yes. The next day at the graduation ceremony, Zarina stood at the podium, looking out at the sea of faces, human and alien alike. "When I first came to Earth," she began, "I was afraid of not fitting in, of making mistakes, of ruining everything. But what I've learned is that it's our differences that make us stronger. By reaching out across the stars, by opening our hearts and minds to new experiences and new people, we create a future brighter than any single world could imagine." As applause filled the auditorium, Zarina's gaze found Alex's in the crowd. She smiled, knowing that their journey together was just beginning. Months later, as Zarina prepared for her wedding day, she couldn't help but laugh at the chaos around her. Her parents had arrived from Zeta 9, and their first meeting with Alex's family had been a comedy of cultural misunderstandings. "No, Mom," she explained for the 10th time, "humans don't actually eat their mates after the wedding ceremony. That's just an old Earth movie Alex showed you as a joke." As she walked down the aisle, Zarina saw the faces of all those who had been part of her Earth journey: Emily, Raj, Dean Hawthorne, and countless others. And there at the end, waiting for her with a smile that outshone the stars, was Alex. Their vows were a blend of Earth and Zetan traditions, a symbol of the bridges they had built and would continue to build. As they sealed their union with a kiss, Zarina felt a wave of love and happiness so strong that for just a moment, everyone in the room could hear her thoughts. And for once, She didn't mind at all.